What's going on, everyone? MikeO back. Mail day recap. Gonna be a little less shiny than the last one I did, but just some cool stuff I picked up. Really cheap stuff. Only spent a couple bucks, but it's fun. Being a team collector is a lot of fun, especially when you collect and root for and follow and are really interested in a team with a very long history, and I'm very thankful for that. The Philadelphia Phillies have certainly provided plenty of heartache over the years, not only for myself, but for generations of fans. But they've also provided some incredible memories that we share with our friends, with our family, and such. So it's been quite a ride this season. Has been a lot of fun as well, hoping for big things in the postseason, but we'll see. It's 30 teams in baseball, and of course, you're going to have, a dozen teams make the playoffs, so they'll all be vying for things. So we'll see. It comes down to skill and ability, of course, and talent, but it also is kind of how do things fall? Do they fall your way? There is certainly always going to be a little luck involved as well. So let me show off what I picked up here. The only modern card is going to be a Scott Roland. This is an autograph from Topps 206. Topps 206 Low Series autographs were, I think, one in every couple boxes. Scott Roland was on that checklist. Won this one at auction, so not all that pricey. Scott Roland elected and inducted into the Hall of Fame this year. I guess best known as a Cardinal, but secondary team, Phillies. Also, maybe just as known as a Philly because he won a Rookie of the Year there. Had 6 really good seasons, won some Gold Gloves there. Then, of course, with the Cardinals, he got a little more national exposure, playing a huge role in winning the pennant and winning the World Series. I believe he was NLCS MVP, if I'm not mistaken, one year. And then, late in his career, spent some time in Toronto and Cincinnati. But he was also an all-star at the end of his career with Cincinnati as well. So, really good player, one of the better defensive third basemen of all time. So, happy to add that one. As far for the other pickups, I do have one reprint here. This is just a reprint. As you can see, Card Collectors reprint. They did a lot of stuff in the late 1980s. This is the N43, 1889 Allen and Ginter. Fogarty, right fielder for Philadelphia. This is a card I've been chasing, like the actual card, for years. Have lost out at auction a number of times. It's been one of my targets at the National the last few years. Haven't seen one at the last 2 Nationals, maybe even the last 3. It's just a pricey card, and they've gone for more and more every time I've seen them at auction. And I'm perfectly happy, and I, look for a lower grade version, but just a very tough issue. So picked up the reprint for a cheap price just to. As a placeholder for the time being. And then picked up this lot of stuff, all kinds of food, more common food issues and TCMA stuff. I got really interested in that stuff. Obviously, I love the ultra-modern stuff and the stuff I grew up on from the 90s. And I appreciate vintage, and I love the pre-war stuff. But sometimes you got to take a step back and chase some of the cheap stuff that's really neat as well. So this is Jim Westlake. I think this is from something called, there we go, one of a series of one-year winners. It's from 1977. So 1 game and 1 at-bat. So he's more of a minor league hitter. And Wally Westlake played a lot in the big leagues, so pick that one up. We got a little card here, the 1930s. Artwood William Franklin, 1936 through 40 with the Phillies. That's from 1972 TCMA. This is a Shakey's Pizza of Mr. Pete Alexander, better known as Grover Cleveland Alexander. This one, little beat up. I'm not sure of the year of release. I know there's a lot of Shakey's stuff with all-time greats. I picked up a few in the past, some different designs. It's a Kurt Simmons, Grand Slam 1978. And again, these things there's not a ton of them out there, and they're not expensive, and they're really cool. Like, that's got the great look of a vintage card. So, not going to be for everyone, but I enjoy it. Like, here's an awesome Grover Cleveland Baseball Immortals from the Conlon collection, which I've gotten more and more interested in the Conlon collection, just some of those great old photographs. But even listening, learning, reading about, baseball history, not just the baseball history we always hear about. And I obviously appreciate that. Kind of learning a little more is just a lot of fun. So this is from 1988, Sporting News Publishing Company, Worldwide of Sports, Grover Cleveland. This is O'Connell & Son Inc. I've run into a few of these in the past. These things actually sell very well. I don't know a lot about it. I think they're just like an independent art card that was put out, but this is a Richie Allen. I've seen a few Richie Allens in alternate uniforms. Here's a Richie Ashburn. And then some bigger cards, bigger in size. This is Pat Moran, Capital Publishing Company. Not sure of what year this was put out, but Pat Moran, he was a player for the Phillies. Well, for Boston, Chicago as well, but also for the Phillies from 1910 to 14 towards the end of his career. And then he was the manager of the Phillies in 1915 when they ended up reaching their first World Series, so that's a pretty neat one. I like these TCMAs too. I've had the big ones. I have the Richie Ashburn. It's a little beat up, but I think these would be neat to actually get slabbed too. I mean, you can say it's not worth slabbing, but sometimes slabbing things is just cool for the collection. So 84 TCMA. Eddie Sawyer credited as, but obviously it's a team card, the 1950 Phillies, which was a team that also reached the World Series, their second National League pennant. And then final card here is a Grover Cleveland Alexander. It's a postcard. 1978 Dover Publications. And I'd love to pick up some more like pre-war or vintage postcards. It's one of those things like, 15 years ago, I would have been like, postcards, I could care less. And now I'm like, oh, they're pretty cool. And I see a lot of ones that other collectors have. My buddy Michael Sheen, Hank Greenberg, he's got a lot of them. Also, Nuff Said Cards with his Red Sox, he's got some I've seen in the past, and they're very neat. Obviously, this is from 1978. It's a more modern one, but it's cool. And then the final item I have, and this is not a card, this is just an insert, or it's a cut from a publication, but I thought it was kind of neat for the Richie Ashburn collection. And again, inexpensive. Richie Ashburn, National League batting champion, hit .338. The Bud Heilrich Memorial Award. So just kind of like a little famous slugger thing. The back actually just has a list. It's obviously from a page from a little publication, so it's from 1956. This has a list of all the batting champions to that point from 1900 through 1955. So just one of those things that I think is a neat thing. I'll toss it in either a 5x7 top loader or semi-rigid and just put it in the collection. Pretty cool. So that is it for the mail day. Just some historical Phillies cards, not from their playing days, but kind of neat little tributes. And I'd love to see some of these older players represented in some more new products. Panini certainly has some of them from time to time. Of course, how much longer will they be around? But Topps has got some as well too, but they tend to have the same guys in every product. I'd love to see some of the super old school guys. So that's it for the mail day. Comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Do you have a favorite? Anything that stood out? Do you enjoy collecting some of the oddball stuff from time to time, or are you just sticking to the major releases? Anyway, it was great talking to you. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll talk to you next time. Have a great one.